So here we are inside the one and only Chester Cathedral. Got that organ there, massive organ. I've always found sort of Anglican and Catholic churches quite eerie compared to Hindu temples and Sikh gurdwaras, which tend to be more sort of colourful places on the whole. But I recall being in the south of France with my aunt, with my nan, and we was in a Catholic cathedral, and I remember her saying to me, "This place is eerie, very eerie," and a statue of a man with a crown of thorns with blood dripping down them. What could be more eerie than that? This has been a symbol of our so-called civilization for the last 2,000 years. Looks like Damien Hirst has been here as well by the looks of it. Stuff. What could be more out of context than having that in a church? They're obviously trying to appeal to a different audience these days, churches, with the amount of the church, the attendance going down and everything. Amazing structure. I mean, what keeps it up is the arches. Another one to visit if you've never done so is Norwich Cathedral, which I think was built over 300 years. Also featured in that film The Go-Between. And big cathedral, very, very big. Not sure if it's quite as big as this, but pretty big. And this is the famous remembrance of the Battle of Jutland, where I think we lost a young soldier, a young private. I think his name was Jack Holt, if I remember rightly, and he was only 16 when he died. And there he is, right there. He went back to save his colleagues, some of who perished at the Battle of Jutland. Photography was around at the time. I think it was HMS Chester, which was that one. Jack Holt, I think, was given a posthumous VC, which didn't do him much good. There's the man himself, Jack. His name was Jack Cornell. Tell her his name was Jack Cornell. There he is. Sorry, Jack Cornell, the British hero. Died in 1916, the Battle of Jutland, which was a massive naval battle between the British and the Germans at the time, and that was the year my granddad was born, in 1916, so it'll show you how long ago it was. Tried to enlist. A lot of young British guys at the time apparently lied about their ages to get out to India at the time, which was a way of escaping poverty, which is what soldiers do. I mean, no one in their right mind would join the army, really, not unless it was for good reason, unless it was to escape poverty, really. Come back with your arms and legs off. Not a good idea. So Chester, in a way, it seems to me to be a city which reflects different periods of British history: Roman, Norman, and very much Roman, and later Saxon, and is very, very well preserved, considering the time that's passed. Many British religious establishments these days are, because the English aren't a particularly religious people. I think only 1% of us go to church, which is extremely low. And many of the places are better known as for their architecture. I mean, an example of that is Christopher Wren's St Paul's Cathedral. Another piece of modern art, a gorilla this time in the middle of a church. How incongruous is that? Maybe local artists using the church as a vehicle for self-promotion. I'm not sure. The atmosphere in here today is quite pleasant. I mean, there's a nice smell of incense around, and not particularly unpleasant atmosphere. There's all sorts of corridors in this place. Do you want to go and have a look at the other corridors? You can go around. Yeah. Give a donation, because it obviously does cost money to keep these places going. A lot of money, especially steeples outside. Michelangelo, I shouldn't think it was very nice being Michelangelo in those days, being stuck up there for hours with paint dropping in your eyes and having a priest down below saying to you, "When will you make an end?" To which Michelangelo, I think, replied, "When I'm finished," which is an appropriate answer, I think. That's what happened in the Rex Harrison movie anyway. I don't know what happened in real life. It's Michelangelo, I would imagine, was a dedicated artist. The Romans, I do know, loved making mosaics with marble, and they obviously continue this tradition by putting together pieces of marble and different stones and making sort of collages out of them. All of a religious nature, I might add. It must take hours, if not months, if not years. Stone. I think this is a heater, this. This church is surrounded by very nice little gardens inside. You know, it's a peaceful place to come. Unusually bits of modern art stuck where you'd least expect it. window shall we go through today? The round window, the oblong window? We've got no choice. We have to go through the diamond window. Here we go. This no doubt was one time another part of the church, which is now a canteen, as you can see. Might come in there for a coffee in a moment. If you ever visit the village of Chigwell in Essex, worth paying a visit to what was Charles Dickens' favourite pub, which was the King's Head in Chigwell village at the top of the hill, not far from the Metropolitan Police Sports Ground, which is now open to the public also. And that building, which is the King's Head, was actually featured in Dickens' novel Barnaby Rudge, I believe, and it was also Dickens' favourite London pub. Still got that sort of Dickensian sort of look about it, but now it's a Turkish restaurant, and part of the actual crypt is used the seating area and also the kitchen as well. So it's worth a visit to go to Chigwell. It's not too far if you live in London, and Chigwell's also quite famous because it's where William Penn came from, who was the original governor of Pennsylvania, which is also where I understand Bill Haley came from. Bill Haley and the Comets fame, no doubt you've heard Rock Around the Clock. And I think the original Comets have been back there a couple of times to rehearse. Worth a visit. These things were called gargoyles, I think, gargoyles. They sort of put them around the church to do with character, I imagine.
And there's more.
Scary stuff. It's like a cat that's maybe come out of a microwave. That's what I'd compare it to. I like things that tend to be attractive, not ugly art. I'm trying to get into the garden if I can find a way in. No fishes, just lots of pennies in there, as far as I can see. Water lilies. Chester's a lovely place. I mean, it's very old English, or Middle English, I suppose. And walking around, I've seen Victorian tea rooms. You can get tea. Quintessentially sort of English atmosphere. But not too far away, only a few miles away, is the borders of Wales. In the other direction, Liverpool. Cost of repairing this place must be astronomical. There's a new bit there, you can see there's new stone, which I guess it loses its authenticity when you put new stone with old stone, but what can you do? Something that's 100 years old. How do you find Chester, Ian? You quite like it. Pleasant place, huh? Yeah. Very stony, isn't it? Very sort of. Yeah. Yeah. How do you find it, Marie? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pleasant place. There's some sort of burial ground at some stage. Like a lot of places, even in London, a lot of these old burial grounds became what is known as consecrated grounds. And an example of that is in Whitechapel, just opposite Brick Lane entrance and Whitechapel side. There's a piece of land there where kids play on these days. So that's consecrated ground, which I think they may have moved the bodies out of at some stage, or you know, if they might have been built and died in the 12th century, it's very unlikely you're going to find any remains then. And another example is on the other side of Tower Bridge, where now City Hall, the Mayor's office, which is known as Potter's Fields, which also is, if you look in there, you'll see cemetery tombstones pushed against the edges of it, and they hold parties on there these days. So, you know, death is all around us, I guess. Except we don't realise it half the time. Geraniums outside all year round. I have to take mine in. I imagine it's just warm enough there in that little corner to keep them alive. This is the most unusual tree. I do like weeping willows, but apparently they absorb a lot of water. I don't know what that one's called. Strange. Town clock. Isn't that romantic? Look at that. I'm not sure whether they're mermaids or what. Anyway, time for a quick cup of coffee, I think.